My name's Suzanne Kerwin, and I'm the president of League of Women Voters, Edina. Welcome to the information session on the Edina School District levy referendums. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer organization that encourages citizens to participate in government. While we as a league do studies and we take positions on issues, we do not endorse or support political parties or candidates. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of the levy referendums. I would like to introduce Superintendent of Edina Public Schools, Dr. Ric Dressen, and Dr. Dressen is going to present information on the upcoming referendum questions. Dr. Dressen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome everybody, and thank you for the role you continue to play in supporting education in our community and supporting our young people's future. I will just keep talking, I think they'll adjust, but we're in our 153rd year as a public institution. 153 years ago, this community made a commitment to funding education for our young people. And there's been a success story that has just built and built and built upon that decision made in the Grange Hall 153 years ago. And it was exciting for me because we're also in the process of doing some strategic planning. And along that planning process, I felt it was good to go back, maybe not 153 years, but really go back to different points in time for the school district where key decisions have been made, because there's a reason the success that we have as a school district today and in the past, there's reasons that happened. And what I have found, and the pattern I have found, is that the reasons really go back to decisions that have been made by this community to support young people, to support education. And there have been points along the way when a new school was built or when a decision to provide school busing back in the 30s was made to make sure our young people got to school. And in the late 40s, right after World War II, the community came together and said, you know, we don't want to be just a K-8 school system, that we want to have our own high school. And Edina Morningside was built. And those are challenging times, and yet out of that first graduating class in 1951, out of that came unbelievable graduates and unbelievable things. In 1955, the administration and teachers of this school district began talking about a concept called advanced placement classes, AP classes. Now think of this, 1955, this community said our high school students were ready to take on college courses. We are among 100 school districts in the nation considering that. And the district made the decision, yes, let's do it. Let's challenge our kids to the max. 1955. You fast forward that to today, and what we find is every year our graduating senior families recognize $20 million in tuition savings because of the decision that was made in 1955 and continued to grow, and they save that in tuition annually. What a decision. You go back to 1980s, the early 80s, we were in declining enrollment, and we had 2 high schools. And the school board said, you know what? We need to get back to 1 high school. It was a difficult choice. And when we got back to 1 high school, we went from Edina East to Edina West back to Edina High School. That Edina Morningside building, many school districts throughout the nation, when they were in declining enrollment, the first thing they did was the oldest school, they just kind of abandoned or tried to sell, but not in Edina. Not in Edina. No, Edina said, we're going to grow an unbelievable community education program. And they hired a man by the name of Doug Johnson to champion that cause. And out of that came this unbelievable community education program. We repurposed that building. And then as time went on, the school district said, let's offer an immersion program because we have space and we have another choice for kids to take. And the French immersion program was built. All the way along, critical decisions, unbelievable results. In the 1990s, computers were just entering into our world. In the 1990s, and a group of parents got together and said, the schools don't have money for computers, and we need to gather some private funds. And out of that decision, the Edina Ed Fund was formed. Fast forward again, the computers are purchased, but annually, the school district and community continues to contribute to that fund. $500,000 annually is committed back to innovative ways to serve our young people. All along the way, we've had critical decisions. And we're now facing another one today. As we look forward as a community, we're shaping what is the next level of excellence. Where do we go next? So the school board has begun, starting last February, shape a plan that will provide community input and staff input to say, where do we want to go next? What's the next big dream we have for our young people? And we are going to do that together. We're going to shape that so our young people are ready for the 21st century and the 22nd century. And the challenge is this. The challenge is, in order to make this happen, in order for us to continue to be a national leader and an international leader, we're the only school district in the United States to receive an international award. Google has recognized Edina Public Schools, one of 10 organizations internationally, as a top provider and access to Google technology, that cloud technology, which is the technology of the future. Edina is one of those 10 organizations recognized, the only school district internationally recognized, and we're there. And so as we look to the future, we know times are changing. We know that it isn't about schools, but it's about learning environments, because learning can happen anytime, anywhere. We also know that things aren't going to change in schools. In many ways, the school is going to remain the same because that teacher cannot be replaced. That parent can't be replaced. The interaction with children will not be replaced because we still need to have that respect. We still need to make sure our children are following their passions, that they have somebody celebrating and supporting them, that they can find their place in the world. But we can take the advantage of what schools are today and how they are formed around time and place and teacher-directed, and what we know already today, that learning has shifted. Learning can be a place of opportunity. Learning can be about choice, where students still will need to know the basics. They'll never leave the basics, but around problem-solving, communication, collaboration, creativity, innovation, cultural understanding, all these skills can be incorporated through technology. And students won't be locked down by the lack of technology, that we can bring technology into learning. So as we look to the future, we see technology not as a standalone, but as an infusion into learning, as tools for students to help them grow their passion, as tools for teachers to enhance their instruction, as tools to help the families and the schools work together more closely, as tools to create greater efficiencies for the school district. So we are looking for a new standard of excellence. We're going to be growing that in 2011 and 2012. We know that technology will be a driving force around that, and we know that we can take Edina to that next level of excellence. One of the challenges we face, and the board has recognized, is that we also need a level of funding to make all this possible. And the board is coming to the community in November on two questions. The first question is seeking a renewal of our operating levy, $400 per student, or $3 million per year. The second question is a renewal and an increase in a current capital levy from $1 million to $4.5 million annually. This would allow us to expand our technology in the area of training, in the area of support, in the area of infrastructure, in a variety of areas to help our students' learning. This would be a 10-year levy that would be in place, and all funds stay within the school district. Now, one of the challenges we're facing in the school district is how do we maximize our current funding resources to make sure technology is in the system, and how do we prepare for the future? And so one of our challenges is, at this time, we receive 1/3 of the money for technology from a technology referendum that is expiring at the end of this calendar year, at the end of the school year, $1 million. The rest of the money we have to repurpose from other areas, capital funds, as well as our general fund. Our general fund can be used for any purpose. And right now we need about $1.7 million, almost half of our funds to support technology comes out of our general fund. What we're looking to do as we move forward with technology is to grow our technology budget by $1.5 million, but also to make sure that 90% of that fund is going to technology. And $1.2 million will be redirected back to the general fund. So again, this slide shows where we are currently today, $3.5 million, and that 1.7 of those dollars are coming out of the general fund. We want to make sure 90% comes out of technology, and we'll be able to repurpose $1.2 million back into the classroom, back into making sure our class sizes stay low, and we have curriculum. This is a way we can maneuver the money, make the money work for maximizing the resources for our young people. The tax impact of passing the first question is a minimal increase of 25 cents per month on a $300,000 home, $400,000 home, or $500,000 home. just a minor adjustment in that. The second question, which is again an increase from where we currently are, would cause for an increase on a medium-sized home of about $14.58 per month. Now, if you have greater value property, you can use a multiplier on that. It would come out quite closely. So if you have $1 million property, it would probably be that $36.50 a month. Here's how we compare with our neighbors. Now, Edina is, again, our area of technology revenue is at $1 million. And you can see our other neighboring school districts are receiving substantially more money than Edina is for technology. Now, one of the reasons that we are behind our other neighboring districts is because we were the first district to move forward in this initiative. We once again were the first district to see this and see the power of this. And we've used it well over the years. We've used it to build infrastructure. We've used it to advance training. We've used it to make sure we have staffing support to meet our students' needs and our staff's needs. We've used it for hardware and software. But in order for us to be competitive going forward, we are not seeking to be that top provider, but we do believe in the plan that we've laid out before us is about $5 million would be needed for technology, 4.5 coming from the technology levy, and $500,000 coming out of our general fund. You combine the two questions, the vote would be separate on each question, and it would be based on the number of voters who do vote. The total of both questions were passed, you can see would be again about $1,483 per month in that $400,000 home and $1,858 on that $500,000 home. If the two questions would be unsuccessful, the district would be looking at a budget adjustment of about $4 million. Remember, over the past 5 years, we've looked at budget adjustments where our revenues have not matched our expenditures, and we made budget adjustments, reductions, reallocation, and revenue ways, including increasing fees, and we've been able to match that. But we are challenged right now to say that would be a substantial hit to our system. And so, again, we're looking at what we can do. This is what would happen if both questions would fail. Edina has been a good use of, been proud of the way we've been able to use our funds. There's a variety of awards that we, again, recognize, and those don't come with without a lot of hard work. Both Fitch and Moody continue to give us AAA bond ratings, and we know Moody is one that is quite careful on making sure that that's true, so we know we maximize our resources. How does that work? That also then allows us to refinance bonds that we previously purchased, which we recently did at a board meeting, where we're going to save our taxpayers $5 million in cost because we're able to, over the next 10 years, save our money because we were able to refinance our bonds that we currently have from the 2003 election, and again, save our property tax dollars because we want to be as efficient as we can. So we look to the future. We look to the future to say we have a bright one for our young people and they believe in us. They are amazing young people who give not only of their talents in the classroom but well beyond. And they've been taught well by this community. They've been taught well by teachers and parents and people who live in this community. And we have a very exciting step that we're going to take as we look forward to that new standard of excellence, that together we're going to frame that new picture. And that will be the work that we'll be doing as we roll into 2012, and that we'd be implementing in the 2013-14 school year. But before that, we have this vote in November, and we have been sharing this information in a variety of mediums so that our community be well informed of the decision that has to be made by the community around questions one of a renewal of an operating levy, and the second around technology, which would help support learning. I'm going to pause at this point to ask questions that there might be, and then we'll follow up with any questions that there are where I can.
Sure. And if you have a question, please raise your hand and I'll get the mic over to you. Is there a question back here? I'm gonna hold on to the mic.
Testing.
You're a test. You pass.
I'm David Kleins. I live in Edina, and I'm a graduate of your fine institution. You showed the chart with the different cities and the amount of money that they get. Can you explain that or show that same chart on a per capita basis? Maybe is Hopkins bigger than Edina, or is Minnetonka? You follow what I'm asking?
So this is a per student.
Thanks.
Okay.
Oh, that's per student.
This is per student, so that's how it would work. So the dollars would be based per student per year. That's correct. So the ranking we show here is per student per year. Our 122 comes up to about $1 million. But if we were making that $549 question passed, we'd be generating $4.5 million.
Any other questions?
You holding it? Okay. I'm David Davison. I've lived here 25 years, sent our kids through school, the Edina schools. I guess back in the late 90s and early part of the century, I was involved with helping with the Scientist Youth Forum in the schools. And I supported the development of improvements in the facilities in our schools that was passed in 2003. So we had a referendum back then and increased the funding to the schools for that. We built new facilities in the school, including science labs. So my question is, what evidence is there an improvement in rankings or student outcomes during the last 8 years?
Thank you. So the question around rankings, U.S. News and World Report just came out last week with their rankings of the top high schools in science and math. Edina was in the top 150. That was the only school district in Minnesota ranked at that level. Our pre-engineering course, which is brand new, which spins off science and math, is very strong as well, and we have strong participation in that. So we see a field of students moving and recognizing the power of science and math as they look to the future. We continue to perform well. Our science scores, our math scores are top in Minnesota. And we know Minnesota, top performing Minnesota performs well nationally. We continue to benchmark our schools against other national schools. And as we look to our strategic plan for the future, we're going to start benchmarking our school district against international schools. So we're making some contacts there. So we recognize right now that we're performing well. We are still working on ways to track our student graduates as far as what fields they're taking and satisfaction around that. We're growing that area. But again, as we look to the new vision, we're not only be looking at benchmarking nationally, we do want to look at international rankings because we believe we have students who can perform at that level.
Any other questions?
I'm Jackie Prince. Our kids have graduated from the Edina schools. Just wondering if you can give us an idea of school fees and how they might have increased over the last 6 or 8 years for a typical Edina family.
Boy, Jackie, I might need to call on a board member or two to give me those exact fees. We have, over the past years, in our budget adjustment, both done budget reductions and reallocations where we move funds, for example, to advance the technology. We've had to move out of the general fund. But we've also done look at fees. So we've increased fees for participation, fees for parking, and so those have been probably our biggest fees in activities. We always offer a scholarship effort. But I mean, if board members here could give me a few numbers, that would be helpful because I can. $600 maximum. $600 maximum per family for activities. And parking fees, I know those just went up, and we might have a parent in the audience here who knows what that number is as well. But we can't quite. But I think we've stretched it as far as we can because we still want to create a this is still a public education system, so we don't want to all of a sudden make it something for its fee to go. So the big thing that we've done is we've recognized where we can charge fees, where we feel is reasonable for families to manage, we'll do that. We'll continue to always provide scholarshiping. We do believe the activities beyond the school day are very important, and we're just trying to find that good balance.
Okay, I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
Sure. My name is Meg Rodriguez, and I am an Edina parent. Rick, you mentioned some of the accolades and honors that the district has gotten for prudent fiscal management, and this gentleman in front of me, I think, just actually asked a question, too, about some of the achievements that our students have had, which kind of speak for themselves in terms of how we're doing in managing funds. But can you specifically talk about the process that went into creating this technology plan and how community members were involved in creating it?
I can. Before you is a one-shot screen of this technology plan. It involved experts throughout the field. It's really for my reading enjoyment because it's too small for the public to read here. But the key is this, it's quite simple. I mean, you can go to our website and get this information, but we had over 70 community members. We brought in expertise from outside the field. We brought in expertise from other educational systems and worked with a consultant to develop a plan that would be responsive going forward. Because this plan really is about learning. It's really about unleashing the power and passion of our students' learning. It's really empowering our teachers to come to the class at the beginning of the day and say, where else do we want to learn today besides in this classroom? Who else do we want to partner with? And using those tools that they have available to them. It is the world that is not far before us, where Skyping will be that natural way for parents to communicate with teachers. It is the ways of finding efficiencies, like everybody's trying to find efficiencies with technology. And so we built a plan that's not about hardware, it's about infrastructure. It's about preparing us for that next step as video becomes more real. It's very much about training, and it's not training just for staff. It's training for the community. It's training for parents. It's not training just about software. It's for training for making good decisions in the world of technology. It's providing staff, technical staff, to support our teachers so that they can be cutting-edge instructional leaders. Because we are going to be challenged not only as a state, not only as a nation, but internationally. Do we have the teachers and do we have the tools our teachers need to really make things happen and partner with these kids? So we believe this plan is one that is going to be responsive, that will continue to respond to the way the world of technology is moving. It's not about laptop computers for students or teachers, because it's really going to be about mobile devices, and it's going to be much bigger and broader. It's going to be a time of learning. And so we're excited about the plan, the way the plan is developed, how it aligns back to our mission that stayed constant since 1989 when we built it, about partnerships to make sure all kids be successful in an ever-changing world. And I do believe this community is about that, and I thank you for your time tonight. I thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity, and I am amazed at what a great opportunity I have to go out and tell the story of Edina Public Schools as a community and the great questions and the great support our young people have and the people who live here. It's an honor to serve as superintendent, and thank you for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dressen. And I'd like to thank our audience for attending. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. There will be rebroadcasts of this program on cable channel 16. The rebroadcast schedules are on the blue papers on the seats beside you. Also, you can stream this program or tell your friends who weren't able to be here tonight. They can stream this off the city website. It'll be up there in the next couple of days. So thank you very much.